I've seen a lot of people very frustrated in the long break between Doctor Who Series 11 and Series 12, and I just want to take a few minutes to say why I think it's perfectly normal. Now, I totally understand if you're upset that your favorite show is taking so long to come back. It's taking a while, you want information, you want a trailer, you want to see what's happening, you want the show to be back. I totally understand that, but the thing is, shows have to take their time, and we have to just let them do that and not be rude about it, you know? TV takes time to make, and I've seen people just compare it to other production schedules and say, well, look, these CW shows produce 22 episodes a year, and look, they're so great, why can't Doctor Who do that? Well, you know, those are completely different settings. That's an American TV show. All those CW shows are American TV shows. They just, you know, they churn those out at 22, 23 episodes a year, and they write them as they go for some of them, which is like, for me, that's the opposite of what I want for Doctor Who. I would rather they take their time and make the story as good as they can. So I really don't think it's entirely fair to compare the production schedule of Doctor Who to other shows. And if we are going to, then why are we comparing it to shows that are so dissimilar? Why not compare it to shows that are more similar, like, say, Westworld or Mr. Robot? Those are shows with similar episode counts, still American shows, though, that also happen to be taking a while to complete. And you know what? If you think Doctor Who's taking a long time, I totally understand that. But it needs to. This show needs to be good. The show's been on the air for like 56 years. And if the show isn't good, then what's it even doing here? They have to take their time and make it feel in some way unique, in some way cool, and just do their best to make the show as good as they can make it. And I get the frustration in that because, you know, you want your favorite show to be back, but, you know, like I said, this is comparable to other shows' production schedule, and at the same time, it's not fair to compare it to those, which is why I'm not going to spend a lot of time saying, oh, look at this show that's taking 2.5 years to come out, oh, look at this show that's taken 3 years to come out, because it's not comparable, you know? These are different shows. They are made by different people at taking different times, and I've seen people even compare it to Russell T Davies' era of the show. He did a full season of 13 episodes every single year on the dot until the writer's strike. And that, on some level, makes sense, you know? It's an old version of Doctor Who. This is what a lot of people refer to as the golden era of Doctor Who. Not everyone. And it kind of makes sense on some level to compare to that because it was coming out yearly. It was so good. So why is this taking longer? Well, you know, TV's different. That was, 15 years ago almost that Doctor Who came back? It's different now, and it has different people working on it, and these people are taking more time. Also, worth noting, it's been taking 9 months to shoot a new season of Doctor Who. I believe this one started up in January and just recently wrapped up. Might have even taken slightly more than 9 months, but they might have had breaks along the way. I really don't know. But with old seasons, I've always heard it takes 9 months to shoot. And that's not even counting the Christmas special, which I've heard it takes a month to shoot. And add those up, that's 10 months. If you get one season out every year on the dot, say the beginning of October, the beginning of September, whatever, that's 10 months the actors are filming and only 2 months off. At that schedule, how long are you going to keep these actors? I mean, it's no wonder that, you know, we've never had a Doctor for more than really 3 series in the modern era because, honestly, at a certain point, they've done this for so much and this is all they're doing that, you know, it makes sense that, okay, now's the time, I've done this a lot, let's just take a break. I think this is a more reasonable, feasible way to do it if they take a little bit longer with each season. So let's take a look at the actual difference between this gap and other gaps. So if we can assume that a normal gap, not counting any specials, would be effectively, 42 weeks, because there's 10 episodes, so subtract 10, make it 42 weeks out of the 52 in a year. Okay, so the show's on for 10 weeks, we wait 42, it's back with another one. What does that mean? Well, that basically means, even if they're not doing any specials, which they might be, then basically as soon as the season ends, they go into production on the show for the next season. They really don't have any time to get any sort of feedback whatsoever for the show. They're just making it. And then it comes out 10 months later, and people are like, oh, well, look at that. They didn't listen to anything that we said. Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, the creators should only listen to the fans so much. Ultimately, it's their show. They're the ones in charge. They're trying to give it its own distinctive and unique vision. So I don't think they should have to listen to us whatsoever. But even if they do, that doesn't give them any time to. If they were to listen to us in some way, kind of gauge reaction of certain things, they really can't do that if they're just going right into the production of the next season. But basically, what's the added extra gap off of, say, 42 weeks? Well, assuming it starts let's say January. It starts in January. Well, that's only really a 3-month difference. It started early October. It's going to start early January, probably. That means it's an added 3 months. Okay? What's the big deal? Well, there really isn't a big deal. It's 3 months. It feels like it's longer because there's not much that we're getting about the show, but really, we're only waiting a year. Resolution was January 1st. We're waiting a full year, and it's back. And I get that because, it's cool to have shows that come back in less than a year, but I really, really think they should be taking their time with Doctor Who. I think this is normal for them to have gaps like this. They've had it in the past. 2016 was a year where there was only one special for Doctor Who, and the gap between that Series 9 and Series 10 was longer than the gap that we're getting between Series 11 and 12, because that gap lasted from, I believe it was very early December, maybe late November, until early April of not 2016, but 2017, because Series 9 came out in 2015. And then there was a big gap between that and the next year, because that ended, I think July 1st, and then didn't come back until the next year in early October, which means add that on, I think it's 15 months. And that's what I thought it was going to be this time. I figured, it's going to come out in probably April or March. But actually, it really, really looks like we're going to be getting new Doctor Who in January, which is something that probably hasn't happened, a new season starting in January, since the classic era. Am I right about that? Because a lot of the time with Jon Pertwee's era, it came out early January, but that doesn't really happen anymore. So that's interesting in its own self. But yeah, I really think this is a perfectly normal thing. They've taken plenty of risks before, and I really think they should take their time to make the show as best as they can, because if they don't make it as best as they can, then what's the point of making the show? So I get the frustration, but please just don't be mean about this, because it's just people making a show, taking their time to do it as best they can, really for the fans, to try to make the show good so that people will enjoy it. And if they don't do that, then people aren't going to enjoy it, and it's just not going to be as good, which is not what I want from Doctor Who. I really want Doctor Who to be the best it can be. I am fine with waiting 2+ years for a new season of Doctor Who, as long as it is a quality season of Doctor Who. I would significantly prefer that to waiting 10 months for an average season of one of my favorite television shows. So those are my thoughts. I think I've covered basically all of my bases, everything that I really wanted to discuss. Just kind of say, it's not really fair to compare it to other shows, and if so, why are you comparing it to these shows? And this is normal. We've had these gaps before. Different people creating it. That you need time to make a show. It's unfair to compare it to these different things entirely, because it's different people making it. It's a different show now. It's the same Doctor Who, but it's a different flavor of Doctor Who, and it's different people creating it, and it's just different, and it is what it is. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you think about this slightly extended gap? Let's be real with ourselves. Doctor Who isn't actually taking forever, even though that's kind of in the thumbnail. It's really, really not taking that long. Okay, it's taking basically 13 months since the end of Series 11, really 12 months since Resolution aired, and I'm fine with that. So any thoughts on that? Be sure to let me know down below. I'll be happy to strike up a conversation. I'll just be pleasant, and I would be interested if you have a different feeling about this than I do, because I feel pretty strongly that this is fine for them to do. But if you think that's not, no, they can't take this long of a break, then, or maybe they should be keeping the fans more up to date, that's perfectly fine. Be sure to let me know. I'll be happy and interested to see what people have to say. With that said, that's all I have to say about this for now. So thank you very much for watching. Take care and have a lovely week.